There is a legend in these hills that when it rains and sun shines at the same time, the devil is kissing his wife. And speaking of the devil,
That's trash.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of That's Cool, That's Trash. I'm Matt Howell. This is a special episode because I am not joined by any of my regular co-hosts or guests. It's just me. I want to give a little review of the 1969 made-for-TV movie It's Alive. This was produced and directed by Larry Buchanan. Larry Buchanan was a self-proclaimed schlockmeister. In the late 60s, his Azalea Films production company produced 8 titles for AIP's direct-to-TV films. So these titles include The Eye Creatures, Zontar, the Thing from Venus, Creature of Destruction, Mars Needs Women, In the Year 2889, Curse of the Swamp Creature, Hell Raiders, and It's Alive. Now these were largely remakes of then 10-year-old films. Like Zontar, a Thing from Venus, is a remake of a Roger Corman movie from the late 50s or early 60s. Larry Buchanan claims that his instructions from American International Pictures were, quote, "We want cheap color pictures, we want half-assed names in them, we want them 80 minutes long, and we want them now." Buchanan's films usually featured low production values. This was his hallmark. Frequently there are monsters with ping-pong ball eyes. There's heavy use of day-for-night footage with blue filters, where you can see the sun reflected in bumpers and water. And there's usually one reasonably well-known lead actor, so someone that you've heard of before. After Buchanan died in 2004, a long obituary in the New York Times summarized his work this way, quote, "One quality united Mr. Buchanan's diverse output. It was not so much that his films were bad. They were deeply, dazzlingly, unrepentantly bad. His work called to mind a famous line from H.L. Mencken, who, describing President Warren G. Harding's prose, said, 'It is so bad that a sort of grandeur creeps into it.'" End quotes. That's such a good description of Buchanan's work, and it's a great description of the stuff that we celebrate here on this show. So bad that a sort of grandeur creeps into it. Beautiful. So Buchanan's reasonably well-known lead actor for this film was Tommy Kirk. If you don't know Tommy Kirk, he was a child actor who was best known for his Disney films. He starred in Old Yeller, The Shaggy Dog, The Absent-Minded Professor, Son of Flubber, quite a bit of stuff. He was also a Musketeer with Annette Funicello, and that group of people from that generation. Tommy Kirk was fired by Walt Disney personally when his closeted homosexuality was reported to the studio. After that, his career kind of obviously hit some roadblocks. He went to AIP and starred in Pajama Party and its sequel. If you're not familiar with these have Annette Funicello and Frankie Avalon and Tommy Kirk. They take place on a beach. They're comedies. They're light. You get to see teens dancing and in swimsuits. Pretty much a staple of the mid-'60s. Anyway, he was in a few of those, and then on Christmas Eve of 1964, he was busted for marijuana possession. He had been cast in 2 films at the time, and he was dropped from both of those projects, one of which was a beach party movie called The Wild Bikini. He was replaced by Dwayne Hickman, who was Dobie Gillis on TV, and the other film was a John Wayne movie called The Sons of Katie Elder. So after that, his career was pretty much dead. He picked up some pretty severe substance abuse problems after this. So in addition to marijuana, he was also drinking heavily, popping pills, doing coke. He basically claims that he doesn't even really remember doing much of this work in this period of time when he was in a couple of these Larry Buchanan movies, which is really sad. He said his manager encouraged him to take any work he could get. So he did. His manager said, "Hey, if you're not working, people forget you, and once they forget you, you're dead to them. So you need to take anything you can get right now." And he did, and he made some terrible films in this period of time. It's also sad to see he's clearly in this film. I mean, if you've seen Old Yeller or something else like that from a few years before, he's clearly bloated. His eyes are glassy. He flubbed some of his lines, which, Larry Buchanan is going to use that take anyway. He looks pretty confused. It's kind of sad. But there's a happier ending to this. He got sober shortly after this period of his life in the early 70s. He did get clean and went on to another business outside of acting and led a happy life. So don't feel too bad. When Tommy Kirk was talking about Larry Buchanan, there's a quote. He said, "Buchanan's like a cinematic serial killer, and he's got to be stopped before he kills again." In all seriousness, he said that Larry Buchanan was a very nice guy, great to work for. He paid well. He was a wonderful human being. He just made terrible movies. So as I mentioned earlier, Buchanan Productions featured low production values, and It's Alive has them in spades. Number one, for starters, the opening sequence in the film looks like home movie footage shot from the backseat of a car. So we're just driving around through the Ozarks, and then finally some narration pops in. And narration voiceover is usually a giveaway for cheaply done work. You shoot footage silently, cheaply, handheld, whatever, and then you add in ADR later or voiceover after the fact cheaply. Let's have a listen to a little of the voiceover we hear in the beginning of this film. By the way, Larry Buchanan is the voice actor, so that means it was free.
The poets would have called the place pastoral, the day tranquil. For Leslyn Stearns and her husband Norman, it was another day in a cross-country tour. But as they entered the Ozark Plateau, an ominous feeling invaded the privacy of the car. A feeling that intensified with each turn in the winding highway.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a little rundown of what happens in the first part of this film, and then we'll go back and kind of listen to some clips that fill this in. So this couple is driving along on the road. They see a roadside attraction. There's some dinosaur type of things, and they pull off the highway. They run into Tommy Kirk's character, and he has no gas to give them, but he says there's a farmhouse a little ways up the road and asks if they can make it, and they say they can, and they go, and the farmhouse is owned by Mr. Greeley or Mr. Greevy. I can't tell what they say. IMDb and everything else says Greeley, but when you look at their mouths and listen, there's clearly a V in there. It sounds like Greevy to me. So Greevy looks like a really ugly Lyndon Baines Johnson. I mean, just like, ugh, he's a sight. So he lures the couple into his house to wait for a fuel truck to deliver some gas that he says is overdue. Inside they meet Bella, who is presented as his maid. Meanwhile, Tommy Kirk's character has arrived to check up on the couple, make sure that they were, not stranded, everything's okay. He's looking at their car to see if there's anything he can fix on it, and Greevy hits him on the head with like a wrench, knocks him out, drags his body out of the way. Then Greevy invites the couple to see his animal menagerie, because he had a roadside attraction as well. So he shows them his snakes. He's like a mountain lion, just stuff like that. And then he takes them into a cavern on his property to show them his prize specimen. Once he gets them down there, he locks them in a cage and makes them his prisoners. They find Tommy Kirk's character bloodied and groggy, climbing out from a lower cavern, and they the wife helps him with his wounds, and they try and figure out what's going on. And you'll never guess what Tommy Kirk's character does for a living, considering that this is a giant dinosaur movie.
In on what? On a plot to frighten us, so they can bleed us of every cent we've got.
It may account for you, Mr. Stearns, but they don't stand to make too much off an assistant professor of paleontology.
Yeah. What luck. So Greevy enters later with a gun. He shoots Tommy Kirk's character like in the shoulder or something, and then he's disarmed. Norman gets the gun, and after Greevy leaves, Norman attempts to lure Tommy Kirk's character down to kill him when the monster surfaces from a bubbling pool and eats him. Now, I didn't know until I watched this for like the third time that the creature is supposed to be 60 feet tall or something. I just thought it was a weird perspective, but yeah, he's supposed to be giant. Did not know that. The creature suit is reused from an earlier Buchanan film called Creature of Destruction. It's rubber, it has large scales on it, it's kind of like a Kmart creature from the Black Lagoon. There are ping-pong eyes on it with downward slanting slits for pupils. It has rubber fangs that literally like wag and bob when it moves. Like it looks like it has an extra chromosome, like it's a short bus monster. At this point, we're halfway through the film, and I thought it would be kind of fun to spotlight the character, the husband, Norman Stearns, and just give you an overview of the whole story I just kind of told you by editing together all the bitchy, snippy, abusive things that Norman says to his wife. The guy that plays Norman is a hatchet-faced little weasel guy. He looks like you could grate cheese on his face. And his acting is so one-dimensional. I mean, it's not even two-dimensional. It's one-dimensional. He's an asshole. And his acting makes small-town theater troops look just brilliant and like Laurence Olivier in comparison. So here is the Norman Stearns Super Twat Mega Mix I made, which is just everything that's happened so far just from Norman's dialogue. Enjoy.
Fine. We're lost. I hope you're satisfied. We're almost out of gas. Have you got any?
No, my drum's empty. The truck was due yesterday, but it didn't come.
Well, you must have some, a little. Enough to get us back to the highway at least.
Why don't you come inside? It's cooler.
Well, we may as well. I don't suppose there's any way of knowing when the truck will get here.
Nah. Where you folks from?
New York. My wife's fond of traveling by car. Unhurried excursions along the scenic byways. Look, can we telephone to make sure it's on its way? We're in a hurry.
This house way out here. And that man.
An eccentric. Obviously a recluse. Nothing so strange in that.
Norman, I don't like this place.
Well, we're stuck here, and there's nothing to do about it. Except wait. I hope this teaches you a lesson. You know, I offered to take you to the Bahamas, but no, you insisted on traveling around the...
Norman. I'm sorry. I can't. Mr. Greavy doesn't like it.
Well, Mr. Greavy will have to make an exception, I'm afraid. What are you talking about? What's the matter with you? Come along. After all, you were the one who wanted to see some wildlife. This may be the only opportunity you'll get. Let's have a look. What kind of place is this? Looks like someone lives here. Greavy, open this door immediately. Greavy, come back. I'll give you whatever you want. Greavy, you won't get away with this. I should never have listened to you in the first place. You and your fool notions. Traveling across country in an automobile like a couple of poverty-stricken gypsies. Stopping in every wide spot town we come to. Sleeping in motels, eating truck stop garbage. How should I know? Maybe they're still here.
Why would he do that?
Frankly, I was hoping you could tell us. Did you see anything while you were down there?
No, it was just dark, I think. I was pretty groggy.
We could go down and look.
Why? So we can fall and break our necks? You're not going down there.
If there's something down there, I want to find out what it is.
You actually take this thing business seriously, don't you?
Please be careful.
By all means. We'd hate to lose you.
I guess he got away.
And thanks to you, he isn't likely to be back.
Well, at least he offered himself to save us instead of just me.
Oh, I expected you to be impressed.
Oh, Norman. You know, I never realized before what my value to you was. I know you told me earlier today, but I didn't want to believe it. Now I know. I know how much I mean to you. And it isn't enough.
That sounds rather final, my dear.
It was meant to be.
I see. I think I'll have a look below.
Stearns, you better get back up here.
Why? Get back!
Okay, so Norman's dead. Larry Buchanan is almost done with the story, but there's a problem. Remember, these films were for TV, right? So they had to be 80 minutes exactly. Problem is, we've got about 10 minutes of story left and 40 minutes of movie left. What to do? Let's have a flashback. Bella tells the story of how she was captured by Greevy when she was stranded, much in the way that the Sterns were, and imprisoned in a room in the house, and systematically had her will broken by torture and just mental abuse and physical abuse, so that she's kind of almost like a creature that Greevy keeps, like his mountain lions and snakes. This little story is told over 22 minutes with almost no voiceover. The characters pantomime their scenes like in a silent movie, while a line of dialogue or voiceover every 2 or 3 minutes comes in to advance the flashback a little bit or to give some context to what you're seeing. It is surreal. So let's listen to just a little bit of this so you can hear just music. Other than that, just a little bit of voiceover and just kind of how this thing is structured to pad this film out.
I told him that without food I'd die. And he said that wouldn't do, because he had plans for me. And he then told me about the hatred for the highway people for bypassing his serpetorium, of how he was doing well until the new road isolated his place. And he said he'd fix me a good meal. And then he moved down the stairs. Somehow the thought of finally getting food made me able to collapse on the bed and fall asleep. Only the beginning. With each new horrible act, he tried to outdo the last.
Okay, so in the end, Tommy Kirk convinces Bella to bring his dynamite from his Jeep. I guess he was dynamiting looking for dinosaurs. I'm not sure exactly what he was doing. Also, Tommy Kirk and the wife have fallen in love somewhere along the way that we didn't see. I figure it's probably during the exhausting flashback that was 22 minutes. They must have liked each other. I don't know.
Wayne? We don't know each other very well, do we? I mean, if we get out of here.
When, not if. When.
when we get out, you may find out you don't like me at all.
Look, when we get out of here, we may have like 30 or 40 or 70 years to find that out. What? What? What's so funny? What's the matter?
No. I just remember reading somewhere a very famous woman wrote, "It's very interesting being married to a paleontologist."
Why?
Well, because the older you get, the more interesting you become.
That's a good line.
Oh.
So they escape. Bella takes a bullet in the chest while dynamiting the cavern, trapping the creature forever, right after it eats his owner, Greavy. And the couple stumble away and onto their lives of love and being together, and we are treated to a shot of the bubbling pool and a "The End?" title. And that is the film. 80 minutes. Just perfect amount of time for some commercials and pad that out. So, I feel like I need to explain why I wanted to do this. I caught this movie on TV a few years ago, and the problem is I was just flipping through some of the late night monster movies that we have on Antenna TV here in Portland, and I turned it on essentially at the point when Bella starts her flashback. So I turned it on halfway through the movie. So of course I was completely sucked in because there's this cheap flashback with pantomiming acting and no dialogue, and this sleazy story of this guy trapping this woman, and the things he does, like when she falls asleep, he'll sneak into a room and blow a whistle to wake her up so she can't sleep. When he starves her, and when he finally feeds her, he brings in a dinner tray with a plate on it with a napkin on top. When she lifts the napkin off, it's a dead mouse. Just stuff like that. So I was watching this and completely sucked in, but at some point I couldn't watch the whole thing, and I hit the info button on the remote and saw the name of the movie and said to Renee, my wife, "Oh, I've heard of this," which is weird because I hadn't. To me, It's Alive was that mid-'70s horror movie with the monster baby. So I don't know why I thought I'd heard of this thing. It doesn't have any alternate titles, so I don't know what I was thinking. But the bummer is I wanted to see the whole thing later, and I could not for the life of me remember what it was called. And it was driving me bananas. I can't even explain how obsessed I became with it. I own, first of all, there's the internet. I went to IMDb, did search terms like captured farmer, psycho farmer, or monster and cavern. I mean, I searched every keyword I could think of for this, and nothing came back. I got so desperate I went to Twitter and was asking people, and they were looking, doing their own searches and trying to help. I own Michael J. Weldon's Psychotronic Encyclopedia of Film and the Psychotronic Encyclopedia of Video. These are both about, 600 to 800 pages, full of little just like paragraph synopses of films. I went through them literally movie by movie looking for this. And I couldn't find it. And I thought I was going to lose my mind. Then I realized, I have a resource. I belong to a torrent group that just shares psychotronic stuff. And I don't use the forum there, but there is a very robust forum there of users. So I went on there and found that there was a thread that was like a "what movie is this" type of thing. And you have credits on there that you can spend to give other people so they can, download more stuff or whatever. So I offered a bounty of 2,000 credits or something like that to like anyone who could help, and I just spilled my guts out and said, "This is what I saw. I don't know what it is." And I think within 15 minutes, somebody came back and said, "It's sounds like It's Alive" by Larry Buchanan. And I clicked on their link and was like, "Oh my God, there it is! Thank you!" So I immediately downloaded it and watched it, and was so happy. I cannot tell you how relieved I was. That was like I slept for the first time in months, like properly. It was crazy. So that is why wanted to do this story, or that's why I wanted to do this podcast rather. So Larry Buchanan. Almost all of these films, I believe, are in the public domain. The ones he did for AIP, all the TV movies, they are insanely bad. These are the movies, have some friends over, crack some beers, and riff on it like, Mystery Science Theater or whatever. Great stuff. Great inept stuff. The Eye Creatures has been riffed on by Mystery Science Theater. You can watch that on YouTube. Highly recommend it. That one's actually so cheap that it's supposed to be called The Attack of the Eye Creatures, but the titling was mistyped, so it says The Attack of the Eye Creatures. Awesome. And those monsters are covered in ping pong ball eyes. They're just monsters made of eyeballs. It's hilarious. So normally I offer an antidote, which is my way of saying, sorry for making you watch this film. Here is something that I believe has true artistic value, and you can watch free online as an alternative to this. I'm not going to do that this week. I don't think I need to apologize for this. This is absolute dreck in a good way, and this is what this show is all about. So my antidote, I guess, would be go out and watch Mars Needs Women or some other Larry Buchanan movie and enjoy the schlocky craziness. One more note, I came into this movie really disliking Tommy Kirk. I only knew him from some Mystery Science Theater movies that that they had riffed on, called The Catalina Caper and The Village of the Giants. And I knew from some of the jokes they made and references to Tommy Kirk that he was a Musketeer. And I thought he was incredibly annoying and bugged the shit out of me. But after I did some research on him for this episode, I actually have a lot of respect for him, and I feel bad that his career was completely destroyed because of who he is as a person. I think that's terrible. I'm glad that we're getting better as a society, but I still feel like certain people still stay closeted because of backlash, and that's terrible. So for me, it was really humanizing to hear about Tommy Kirk's tough life, and I have much more respect for him now after knowing about his trials that he went through. And I'm glad that he got sober and he's still alive, had a long, happy life as an openly gay man, and a successful business, and bless him for that. So I don't know, rent Old Yeller or something maybe if you want to check something out with some Tommy Kirk in it, or one of the Beach Party movies. They're stupid and they're kind of fun. So coming up for our next episode, we have the wonderful Christian anti-drug propaganda film called Blood Freak. We'll be releasing this in plenty of time for you to watch it before Thanksgiving, and I think you'll understand when you see it why. So thanks everybody out there for listening. We'll be back soon, and I will not do this thing by myself again. It was a lot more work and a lot of research and prepping and editing and stuff, so I doubt I'll be doing any solo episodes in the future, but I would like to hear if you enjoyed it or didn't, what you thought of it, because that will decide whether I think about doing it again. So thanks everybody out there for listening. For That's Cool, That's Trash, I'm Matt Howell, and I want you all to stay trashy. Take care. That's cool. That's trash. That's cool. That's trash.
That's trash.
It's garbage, folks.
The gun! Don't let him get the gun!
Keep it then. Keep it! It won't do you any good.